How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today is Thursday, April the 20th, 2017. I will not make a 420 reference here because I do not do drugs. I just wanted to put that out there and move on right past it. What I will talk about today is Bill O'Reilly and the sexual harassment kerfuffle that he's going through. And one of the accusers who has now come out, has shown her face, told her name, and told her story. Now, I know a lot of you probably heard about this situation in general, but also specifically about this particular person, not the person's name or how they look, but because of the hot chocolate reference. It was a remark that was said towards a black woman about her being black and how she looked or whatever, that he was attracted. That's part of the whole sexual harassment thing. Now, she has come forward. She has told her name. Her name is Perquita Burgess. I'll place a picture on the screen before you. This is a recent picture. She's kind of a big girl, but that may not be how she looked when the alleged sexual harassment happened, because this took place in 2008. So she may have been a little bit different back then. I don't know, but I digress. This is how she looks right now. She was on The View. Now, I will not play the whole thing here. I'll just kind of play little snippets when it's appropriate, but I'll tell you the basics of what she said. Now, she said that she was part of a temp agency and she got assigned to Fox News. Now, of course, she was not any kind of on-air talent. She was just basically like an office worker, and she worked in the office as an employee of one of Bill O'Reilly's colleagues, who she did not name. Now, Bill O'Reilly, of course, would go through this office because you're Fox News or whatever. It's not just on camera. You have an office where people that are there, they may do a variety of tasks for the actual program and for Fox News in general. So he's in the offices just walking past people, and she said that he would unnecessarily come past her desk and just make little grunting noises like, but never really say anything to her. Just do that all the time. And she would notice that it would be a pattern. Now, I'm not saying it's true or false. I'm just giving you her side of the story. Now, she said that he will also look at her in an inappropriate way. If she would have cleavage showing or whatever, he would like walk past her desk. She's sitting down, he's standing up. He might like look down her shirt or something like that. Just do inappropriate things like that. He would never touch her. That's one thing I want to make clear, because a lot of people I've seen online are talking about trying to compare him to Bill Cosby, trying to compare him to a white slaver that raped his slaves. First of all, I said something on Twitter about, the black woman, and there goes the racism car flying out the window. People were hitting me back. Oh, what about Thomas Jefferson? What about the slave and the slave? Like, come on, man. You can't compare a slave to this woman. This woman is not a slave, right? She was not a slave back then, and she is not a slave now. She didn't even work for Bill O'Reilly, so you can't do the whole slave thing. And Bill O'Reilly is not a slaver. So it's much different. You're talking about a slave master and a slave. That's like a prisoner. That's a sexual prisoner. And there was no actual rape or any kind of assault that happened here. So that's really an inappropriate comparison to make. All that happened here, according to the young lady, is that he was just inappropriate with his comments and his staring at her. It made her feel uncomfortable. It made her just feel like she was being harassed. That is the whole point of her coming forward.
Why did you decide to come out now after nearly 10 years?
I was tired of reliving the trauma every time I saw a woman speak out. And I wanted to save him from doing it to anyone else. Now,
getting right back on track, like I said, it was no actual assault, no rape or anything like that. It was just inappropriate looks or inappropriate comments, which I'll get to a little bit later. And like I said about Bill Cosby was a guy that was accused of rape, of drugging and raping women. That is much different. That is actual crime. I'm not sure if sexual harassment is a crime at all. I mean, if you say something to somebody that's inappropriate and it makes them feel uncomfortable, can you go to jail for that? In the workplace is much different because you got HR and stuff like that, but I'll get to that. Now, there was one incident where they were on an elevator, and I'll let her explain what happened.
Fast forward to maybe 3-4 weeks in. We were on the elevator alone, coming up to our floor, and he let me off first, as gentlemen usually do with a woman. And, I walked in front of him, and as I was getting off the elevator, he said, "Looking good there, girl." And the hairs rose on the back of my neck because I knew the grunting and groaning was going on. We were in the elevator. He didn't speak. Then he waits until I get off the elevator, and as I'm walking in front of him, makes these remarks.
Okay, so you heard that. I mean, that is pretty much the extent of what's going on. But that was not the only story. They moved ahead a little bit, talked about how it made her feel uncomfortable, how it was not appropriate, this, that, and the third. And then they get to the point where the infamous hot chocolate line came about.
One day he walks past my desk. I remember it was like after lunch, whatever. I went downstairs in the plaza, and I'm just sitting there minding my business, and he walks past and says, "Hey, hot chocolate." But he didn't look at me when he said it. And I was like, I didn't respond. I was mortified, because not only was it sexual, I took that as a very plantational remark. Yeah.
So really that there is the extent of what Bill O'Reilly did. You said a comment. I mean, I'm not really sure how you get racism out of that. I mean, because, I done heard black people say that to each other about their skin color. So I don't know how that's really racist. If a white person says something about that in a way to where it's like he's attracted to you, you could say that it's inappropriate. You could say that it's incorrect for the workplace. That's one thing. But to say it's racist, to talk about plantational, I'm not really sure how you go to that level. It's kind of dramatic, in my humble opinion. I think it's done for effect. She had her lawyer there. I'll get to her lawyer a little bit later, but I just want to talk about this whole situation and comparing it to Bill Cosby again. I mean, first of all, I don't think that it's all right to just do whatever you want to do if you're in the workplace. And Bill O'Reilly in his situation, he has to understand better than that. If you're making millions of dollars a year, you got to be able to understand how to conduct yourself in the workplace, right? Now, if he was not Bill O'Reilly, if he was just a regular guy, if he was a guy that she liked, that she was attracted to, somebody that was black, somebody that's her age, I'm not trying to say she's racist or whatever, but you understand what I mean. If it was somebody that she was interested in, those comments may not be taken that way necessarily, right? Especially if he just did it like once or twice or something like that. And if she was not responsive, he stopped. But she may have been responsive if it was somebody that she was attracted to. But what Bill O'Reilly did was just make the incorrect decision to continue to do it, even if she didn't say anything. Because when you were in the workplace, you got HR to deal with. But if you're Bill O'Reilly, you putting yourself in the weird situation to have to be subjected to HR, right? Because you're making millions of dollars a year, you're a big fat target. So you really shouldn't do that. And in his situation, there was multiple payouts from Fox News. So I'm wondering this. So was it like you had 10 women that got together all at once and said, okay, we're going to file suit, and all the allegations came out of nowhere at once? Or was it separate incidents that happened? Because if it was separate incidents that happened over a period of years or however long it was, on the first incident that happened where you go through the whole rigmarole, you go to HR and then they tell you what you did wrong, why you couldn't do it anymore, and the whole spiel. Once you go through that, you have to understand how to conduct yourself going forward, right? Especially if it's a big payout or something like that. If they paid the woman like $3 million or something, and then you get told this whole line, you go to training and everything else to understand how to avoid it, then you have to avoid that from there on out. The first time should be your last time. It doesn't even really matter if what you're saying is harmless. If what you're saying would be appreciated by somebody else, it doesn't matter. You got to understand how to conduct yourself. And Bill O'Reilly is not a poor man. Bill O'Reilly makes millions of dollars a year. I assume he has to make at least $20 million a year or more, or he did when he was on Fox News. So he's not a poor man. You should be able to go to the Bunny Ranch or to some kind of private escort service or something. If you got to be able to, if you want to talk to women and flirt, you can do that in a situation that's not your workplace, right? Do that somewhere else. Don't do it at work, because now you put yourself in a weird situation. And I'm not really sure if he was married during this time either. I don't think he's married right now. He has children, but I'm not sure if he was married during that time, 2008, when the situation happened with the hot chocolate lady. But if he was married, the correct thing to do would be to have his wife go everywhere with him. But maybe that's not the point, because he was out there just trying to holler at girls. Right? Like I said, just do like a private escort, go to the Bunny Ranch, go to the Playboy Mansion or something like that, where everything is discreet, and have women sign a non-disclosure form. So when you go into the Playboy Mansion, the Bunny Ranch or whatever, you can pretty much have fun and do what you want to do, and everything is discreet. When you want to do it at work, you're just not really using your brain, especially if you had one incident that happened and you had to go through this whole rigmarole, and there was a big payout, and you didn't learn from it. But some of the things that are being said about him are just really out of bounds. Even the woman's lawyer, I forget her name, but the woman, Perquita Burgess, her lawyer was there, and she was saying some very crazy things.
Now, during a recent interview, Donald Trump said that he thought that O'Reilly was a good person and he shouldn't have settled. I'll ask both of you, how do you feel about those comments?
Mortified.
And what Trump said was, I don't think he did anything wrong.
Yeah,
he didn't say, I don't think he did it. He doesn't think sexual harassment is wrong. Yeah. He's made that very clear.
Now, how do you get that out of what he said? You can't make that, like, you can't say that. Maybe you can say, I think, I feel, maybe this is what he meant, but you can't say that he said, oh, he didn't do anything wrong, so therefore I'm cool with sexual harassment. No, because you can interpret that different ways. It's all about what you think. You can't just state something that's fact like that, because the way I interpreted it, in my opinion, was he didn't think Bill O'Reilly did anything as far as sexual harassment or whatever. Not that he did do something, but what he did was not wrong. That is two different things. And for her to say that is pretty slanderous. Honestly, she should say that I think or I feel, not, oh, well, he doesn't think this and he doesn't think that. No, no, no. You're giving your opinion and you're stating it as fact. So that right there, I'm not really sure who that lawyer is, but she might not be able to get $1 out of a out of a sea of coins, you know, Scrooge McDuck style, using that kind of logic, because she might mess around and get the whole case thrown out before it goes to trial. But I'm gonna move on from that. All I gotta say about the situation is that it's unfortunate. You know, Bill O'Reilly was on Fox News for 21 years. He was a staple of Fox News. He helped a lot of people be able to build, including Mark Lamont Hill. And, you know, that's the whole thing about the racism angle of it. I don't understand anybody try to say it's racist. And like I said before about him, you know, liking the black woman, that's an example of him not being racist. People were saying, what about the slaves? Is that in the third? People that think Bill O'Reilly is a racist will think he's a racist regardless of what. It doesn't matter if he's attracted to black women. It doesn't matter if he's hired black people. It doesn't matter if he has best interests of black communities at heart. The truth is, Bill O'Reilly, as I kind of detour here, Bill O'Reilly has the best interests of black Americans at heart out of anybody I've seen on cable news, in my opinion. Or if not the most, he's up there because he tells the raw and honest truth. He tells the truth. But the thing about it, people don't like Bill O'Reilly in the black community because he tells us to take personal responsibility. We want, the majority of us, and not all, but the majority of us want people to tell us that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's the white man's fault. Blame him. Ask him for money, because guess what? Whatever you do in your life, it's his fault. Positive, negative, anything in between, you got to thank him, blame him, or abscond him, or whatever it is, rather than taking control of your own life. And Bill O'Reilly says, take control of your own life. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate him for giving those raw numbers that many of us don't seem to care about anymore. It's really unfortunate that he's gone. But like I said, man, you can't be doing these things over and over again. If you really want to go out there and just kind of like catcall women or whatever, don't do that at work. That's the worst possible place to do it, because you know that HR is on your back, especially if you had incidents that happened sequentially, like not all at once, but you had one incident, you got to clear it up. One incident, you got to clear it up. Now you're a habitual offender, and that can't continue when you're talking about somebody that's in the workplace. And as I close, I'm going to say this. The final straw for this whole situation was not yet another allegation. It was not none of that. It was the advertisers who had pulled out. I think it was like 100 advertisers that stopped running their ads on the Bill O'Reilly show, because let's get it clear. Let's just be 100% honest and correct. His show did not dip in ratings at all during this whole scandal kerfuffle. His viewership did not dip at all during this whole situation. He was good as far as the ratings, the viewership, all of that. He was good money. But unfortunately, the money that the ad dollars brought in just dipped down so low. Fox News was like, okay, we're in a situation where we got to do something. Are we going to just allow him just to be on air and have it be a distraction and have ad dollars continue to go away? Because as of recently, when he was on the air, the ads have only been pulled from Bill O'Reilly. But what would stop them from pulling their ads from Fox News in general? If the ad companies think that they're trying to support this sexual harasser or whatever it is, then they may just pull ads from Fox News in general. So at a certain point, you got to be able to keep your ship afloat while at the same time appeasing your base. It'd be hard to do. I'm not really sure who they're going to get to replace him. They can't really replace Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly, regardless of what, was a great news anchor. It's going to be hard to replace him. I mean, they're talking about Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is okay. He's a cool guy. I like him, but he's not Bill O'Reilly. Neither is Jesse Waters or anybody like that. Greg Gutfeld is cool. He's a funny guy, but Bill O'Reilly, he's not. I'm not sure they're going to get to replace him. It'd probably be Tucker, and they're going to try to build Tucker the same way they did with Bill O'Reilly, because, again, Bill O'Reilly had been there for 21 years. He is almost 70 years old, so he's been there for quite a while. Maybe they'll try to build the next guy. Maybe that could be Tucker. Tucker's like 47. So you could be there 20 years. You'd be the exact same age Bill O'Reilly is now in 20 years. So maybe that's their plan, but I don't know. But what do you think? Do you think the woman was being dramatic about the situation to try and get Bill O'Reilly hemmed up? And by the way, the lawyer said that they were not seeking any monetary compensation. I'm not really sure if that's true or false, because you could say one thing on paper, but then you would back off of the public appearances if you got some money. I'm not really sure how that's going to play out, but that's what the lawyer did say. But what do you think? Do you think it's about money? Do you think it's about trying to tear Bill O'Reilly down? Do you think it's about trying to attack conservatism in general? Bill O'Reilly being the head that people want to shoot to make the whole body dead? Or do you think Bill O'Reilly got what he deserved? He was a serial offender when it comes to sexual harassment. You can't just catcall, do whatever you want to do in the workplace without any kind of consequences. Do you believe everybody that's come out? Do you think there's anything that has not been said? Anything that I've missed? Any kind of detail that I just happened to gloss over? Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.